Hey everyone, it's Zereldo here, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever class comparison video, and this is where I just take two specific classes and compare them to each other, the pros and cons of both and what works best ultimately in the end. You're wondering why am I starting this new thing? Basically the only episode for this I've got planned, at the moment definitely, is Chronomancer in comparison to ChronoCommander, and there's a reason. These two classes are so similar that they're almost indistinguishable, and I want to go in depth about what the differences are and how this changes the classes and what I really think about this. So this is likely to be a lot more opinionated than a lot of my other videos. I will hopefully be doing more of this, but for the moment the other class guides are what counts. I've got 57 sort of unique skill sets that I've got counted currently, and I've done 37, so that's still 20 to go, so those are the priority, but I do want to give these a go. So I'll just plunge into it. Hope you enjoy this in-depth look at the way both classes function. I feel that the best place to start this is with just the base stats and the passives and all that stuff that goes on. I'll just remind you all, this is a hybrid style class. We've got physical and magical hybrid moves, except the final one, which is actually entirely magical. So that's what your class is made up here for Chrono Corruptor, and the stats reflect this. You've got at level 55 with full luck enhancements, you've got 101 plus 33 and 1 plus 33. Here's your damage range, and here's your attack and spell power. You've got some nice stats here, decent crit and evasion for a class like this, and some nice haste and a good chance to hit. Got some quite even stats, low luck and okay wisdom. I will be using luck for both of these, seeing as huge crits are what both of these classes seem to be made for and what they will be used. Plus luck just seems to work well, especially with Chronomancer, because it increases both strength and intellect. So there's your major peek at the classes. You've got a damage range, well, a 99 DPS. We'll go with the DPS. Your passives are dodge chance increased by 15%, critical strike, hit chance, and haste increased by 5%. So that's quite a lot to take in, so we'll now do the ChronoCommander comparison. In comparison, when you look at ChronoCommander, its DPS is actually 102. Its attack power is 28 more, but its spell power is significantly less. Now this is sort of okay, because you've got all these moves and they are strictly physical only. You'll notice a bit more strength, but a huge reduction in intellect, which seems to mostly have gone into endurance and, well, mostly gone into endurance and dex, bit in strength, fair chunk in wisdom, and a tiny little bit of extra innate luck. Critical slightly higher, evasion slightly lower, haste is noticeably lower, and hit is a different percentage. Now here's the other major thing. You've got endurance increased by 15%, and all healing received increased by 15%. So the passives actually seem to make a huge difference. You get an idea of the base stats and the passives can actually interfere with how this class works quite a bit and dramatically change it. You don't actually get that much of a damage per second increase, despite getting rid of all that intellect. It's missing essentially 80 intellect. You'd think a lot more of that would go into strength, so you lose a lot of spell power, which was making the moves more powerful, and you'll see the difference this actually does make in combat. But I'll go on to the moves now. In terms of the effects in combat, these moves are very similar. I'll just start. You've got Temporal Strike. That's where we already know about the physical and magical sort of damage differences, but you've got 5 mana, 2-second cooldown here. Rift Inversion is the only major change. 20 MP, 12-second cooldown. Now this heals you up to 40% of your HP, apparently. And it applies Inverted Matrix, which it boosts your haste for a while, but activates Temporal Rift. So basically, this move is a haste buff. And I'll get into what's different in the other class. You've got Rift Collapse over here, which is just a large damage strike based on your stacks of Temporal Rift. So it's a large damage strike for 30 MP, 6-second cooldown. And you've got Rift Burn. Now this is 50 MP, 16-second cooldown, and it's just a large damage over time. So those are your basic moves. Let's take a look at ChronoCommander for a comparison. In comparison, ChronoCommander actually looks promising at first. It's got 4 mana for its first move, which has the exact same function, instead of 5, so that's a reduction of 1 MP, not all that much. Time Rift Inversion has the same cost and cooldown, but reduces all damage taken by 35%. Now, essentially it's easier just to round that to a third, so you're taking only 2/3 of normal damage, so in a way that's more useful when compared to the heal. It doesn't stop your temporal rift. That's another difference. You can keep stacking these the moment you use it, and the effect lasts for 14 seconds, so it lasts a good while. Here's a difference for Time Rift Collapse. It's 1 second more of cooldown, but it's 8 MP less. So there's actually quite a difference in MP, and that's emphasized with this final move. Same cooldown, same sort of effect with damage over time, but 40 mana rather than 50. So in terms of function, this class is virtually the same, aside from some mana costs, cooldown changes, and the fact that they're all physical moves rather than physical and magical. But it's all very well to talk about it. Let's actually see what the performance with the same enhancements is in combat and how they differ. So we're just going to actually take a look at the combat itself now and see how the moves work, and I'm going to point out several things along the way. Notice the damage range of Temporal Strike. That's about between 50 and 60, we'll estimate. And just notice the normal damage, about 200 and 600. I'm going to be using the same weapon because it's a very stable range, just for the sake of fairness. So we've gotten actually quite good damage. Let's try Rift Collapse. 6,000, so we've gotten a 6,000 hit without a crit, no problem. So now that we've done the basic damage combo, let's go for the advanced stuff. You've got your Temporal Rift. Once you've got this stacked 4 times, you go for the damage over time. And this does a very nice amount of damage. Starts off at a stack of about 49, starts making its way up the food chain until you get to about 1,500. There you go. Well, the spiral carve could influence this just a little. And we activate a nice 11k hit. Now, because of all the luck, you could probably change that to about maybe 30,000 in a crit. But we'll just go with the standard damage for the sake of it. But you get the idea of what this class is capable of. Something I did neglect to mention, and you should probably notice, ChronoCommander innately has about 340 more health because of its passives. Now just pay close attention. Its version of Temporal Rift only does about 30 damage as opposed to the 50 to 60 of the original class. Its damage, yes, is a bit higher, but I'm not sure if that really offsets some of the changes. Okay, we've done a few crits. Let's use Time Rift Collapse and see what happens. 2,000. I don't think it takes an expert eye to notice that that is significantly less. And I'll just try to repeat that. I'm not going to last too much longer, but there we go. The lag. Okay, 3,000, but still noticeably less. So now we'll trigger the large damage combo. Same as the first, you just get 4 stacks of Temporal Rift, and then you have a dot ready to go. Spiral Carve's activated, so that might make this one a bit more powerful. Notice the starting dot was only 41, and then it goes up to 82. The dot is actually noticeably weaker. When you get to your final, it does about 200 less. I'm not sure exactly what that does over the course. You've got a non-crit of 4,700 compared to the 11,000 we were able to get with Chronomancer. Now I know Spiral Carve did activate during Chronomancer, but that shouldn't offset it by over double. Maybe 1,000 or 2, but not over double. Now let's just repeat the process. Yeah. So we've got, there we go, the dot does stay constant, just as a reminder. Now we're going to try to get this the moment last dot happens. There you go, you've got a crit of 13,000, which is roughly 2,000 more than the non-crit. Now you guys know how crit works. In terms of just sheer damage output, ChronoCommander runs rings around this thing. Yeah, Chronomancer runs rings around this thing. In fact, I also found that Chronomancer is a lot more accurate than ChronoCommander. If you remember, Chronomancer has that passive that increases hit chance. ChronoCommander has no such passive, and thus I had to film this segment 3 to 4 times before actually getting the final hit. I was not able to get my mega damage hit. So essentially ChronoCommander is a less damaging hit that is less likely to hit, so it's a lot more unreliable and less powerful. It's not particularly great. Now, a few of you may accuse me of using the wrong enhancements of this class. Now, it's pretty apparent for this, you only use luck or fighter. I've tried some builds in between, but I'm just going to show you what using a full fighter does. It's got a nice amount of HP, I'll give it that. Stats, evasion goes down, haste goes down, crit goes up a little, hit's not too great. Damage per hit goes up a bit, but not much. You've only got only about 100 or 100 and a bit extra attack power, and your DPS only goes up by, what is that, 11. Now let's see what effects this has on the class. If that was meant to be a crit, that's not exactly impressive. We'll just try get this up. We did get spiral carbon here. You're not critting all that much, to be honest. Let's use the damage over time. The damage over time is a bit more powerful, but it's still inferior to Chronomancer. Now you see we did get it up to 4,000, but look, the hit was only 2,000. If I just try and get this, it just doesn't work. I actually found the less luck you use with this class, the worse it gets. I did try different increments with 1 luck and 3 fighter, 2 luck, 2 fighter, and all that. This class really does need luck. So, it really doesn't seem to work. Now, I'm going to go into a bit of a detailed analysis about this class now that we've done the comparison. So, this is the part of the video where I expect you want me to pick a winner. And the answer is quite clearly Chronomancer. ChronoCommander, the new version, just doesn't seem to hold up. And I think now this is where we go into a bit of a detailed explanation as to why. And I think the key is the physical thing. Physical damage. It's all physical. As a result, the intellect is entirely wasted in this class and does nothing. Whereas, although some of the stats were lower, it was a lot more balanced in the original version and did a lot more damage. So, actually, going for the physical thing has made this class a lot worse in terms of the moves. I can't figure out why Severed Rift doesn't do nearly as well. Maybe it's because of the MP reduction, but really that's not something you want to be going with. The other problem this class has, and I think what Artix Entertainment has done here is that they have taken an existing class and decided to try and repurpose it. With the damage reduction here from the heal, the healing received increase by 15% and the health by increase, as well as the emphasis on strength and therefore fighter enhancements. It sounds like they were trying to create a tank Chronomancer, and with the armor's appearance, I think that assumption is more than justified. But the problem is they just took a hybrid class and slapped its moves over here, and it just doesn't work. I can think of several things they could have done to make this a tankier class. Maybe link a further damage reduction in with the time rift, but it should have had a bit better damage output. I don't know. I mean, I could try and suggest things all day, but the class we have is the class, and it's a bit disappointing. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad class. Chronomancer is my favorite in terms of function, but the one thing this calendar sort of getup does have, and you cannot fault it on this, is some beautiful art. That said, the original Chronomancer was beautiful as well, but I just thoroughly love this, and I've just got to go to the Book of Lore and just show you what you're getting. In fact, I did sneak in a extra armor set, so we'll just... There we go. If you go to the shop, you've got your ChronoCommander gun, which matches the armor nice. You've got an armor version of it as well, if you don't want to wear it as a class. And you've got your helm. There's a couple of weird themed capes. But they snuck in the Evolved Chronomancer, and that's daggers, so that's nice. And this Evolved Chronomancer armor is very, very appeasing to the eye, for lack of a better term. Here we go, here are the Techno Wings, and the wings are very nice as well. So you're getting a lot of value for this in terms of adventure coin items. But I do find the class disappointing. It's outperformed. So if you've got Chronomancer, you might want to just give this one a miss if the only reason you're doing it is for the class. If you're like me and a collector, you're going to get it anyway. If you want the calendar, which I will admit looks very nice, you'll still get it anyway and just consider this extra as you would. But it does seem a little disappointing, and I think the reason I'm most disappointed is for the previous 3 calendars. Each calendar class was individual. Yes, Chrono Corruptor and Chronomancer are very similar, but they actually changed the moves quite significantly, took some out, combined in, and I would do a comparison, but it would have just been too tricky comparing 3 classes. And that really worked. It suited the Chaos theme well, and I can see what they've tried to do here. They've really tried to do the tank thing, but it just hasn't worked as well. I think it's just something about taking the literally taking the magic out of it. I'd love to see them try and revamp this because I think the concept has a lot of potential, but that's why it's so disappointing. We're used to getting a new class, and Time Killer was something completely new. We're used to getting a new class from these calendars every year, and then this year they give us something that's essentially a carbon copy. And I suppose maybe that's not too bad. They do have a lot of skill sets in this game. And maybe since it was limited to 3,000 copies of the original, they thought, oh, a few more people could get their hands on it. But you think they would have kept it more in its original state if they really wanted to do that and get those crits up there. So those are my opinions and my reviews. I could be wrong. Maybe there is something I'm missing in this. I like the concept, and I really would like AE to try and tweak it a bit. So this is my first class comparison. Leave a like if you liked it, and just leave some feedback if you think this format works. Until next time, bye.